Let's get right into it. Number 12. Your brain hates gaps. Every single night, your brain does the equivalent of a toddler throwing a fit in a grocery store. The lights go out, and suddenly your perfectly normal brain, the one that can solve complex puzzles and remember exactly where you left your keys a week ago, decides it's time to invent a whole new reality. It's not just you, it's a universal phenomenon. Your brain is a data-hoarding machine, and it absolutely hates a lack of information. When you're in the dark, that lack of information becomes a gaping void. Your brain is like, oh, no information? Fine, I'll just make some up. It starts filling in the blanks with the most terrifying stuff it can possibly imagine, often pulling from whatever horror movie you watched last month. It's not a logical process. It's an ancient, primal panic button being mashed repeatedly. It's why the laundry pile in the corner looks suspiciously like a ghost, and why a creak from the floorboards sounds like a monster is shuffling just outside your door. The scariest part isn't what's out there. It's the horror movie your brain is producing for you, in real time, just to fill the silence. Number 11. The primal need for a threat. Long before we had light switches and bedside lamps, our ancestors were in a constant state of low-grade panic when the sun went down. The dark wasn't just the absence of light, it was the active presence of unseen predators. We evolved to be on high alert. That little shiver you get when a branch scrapes against your window isn't irrational. It's a leftover biological program designed to keep you from becoming some saber-toothed cat's midnight snack. Your body doesn't care that the biggest predator in your house is a slightly overweight cat who can barely be bothered to chase a laser pointer. It's still operating on the ancient assumption that anything unseen is a threat. That's why you get that jolt of adrenaline, that sudden, cold sweat, even though you know logically you're perfectly safe. Your body is ready to fight or flee a threat that hasn't existed for 1,000 generations. It's a beautifully useless biological relic that makes you jump 3 feet in the air because you dropped your phone in the middle of the night. Basically, your nervous system is still stuck in the prehistoric era, throwing a tantrum every time it loses visibility. Number 10. Your senses start lying to you. When your primary sense, sight, is taken away, your brain goes into overdrive trying to compensate. This is where things get really weird. Your hearing, which is usually a supporting actor, suddenly becomes the lead role, and it starts improvising. Have you ever been in a dark room and heard something that wasn't there? That's not a ghost. It's your brain desperately trying to find meaning in the quiet. It's called auditory pareidolia, and it's your brain's way of creating patterns out of random noise, like turning the sound of your pipes settling into a phantom whisper. Your brain is so obsessed with creating a cohesive narrative that it will literally make up sounds or misinterpret existing ones, just to have something to process. It's why you might hear your name called or the sound of footsteps in an empty room. Your brain would rather invent a terrifying scenario than just sit in the silent, unnerving truth of nothingness. You're not hearing a ghost, you're just hearing a bad sound mix created by your own terrified mind. Number 9. The cognitive bias of night vision. Ever seen a coat on a chair at night and immediately thought it was a person? That's not just a mistake, it's a feature. Your eyes have 2 types of light-sensing cells, rods and cones. Cones handle color and detail, and rods handle low-light vision and motion. When it's dark, your cones basically clock out and your rods take over. But here's the catch. Rods don't see in color or high resolution. They see in low-res, black and white silhouettes. Your brain, which is already working with limited data, has to make some serious guesses. And because our brains are naturally wired for survival, they operate on a better safe than sorry principle. A vague, shadowy shape is far more likely to be interpreted as a potential threat, like an intruder, than as a pile of dirty clothes. This is a built-in survival bias. Your brain would rather you freak out over a chair and be wrong than miss the one time it actually is something dangerous. So, you're not seeing things, you're just seeing them with the equivalent of a 1980s security camera, and your brain is filling in the blanks with the most dramatic storyline it can possibly imagine. Number 8. The uncanny valley of the familiar. This one gets extra creepy. The fear of the dark isn't just about the unknown, it's about the unsettling way that known, familiar things change when the lights go out. Your brain has a perfect map of your room in broad daylight. You know where everything is. But at night, your brain's spatial awareness gets wonky, and the perfectly normal objects around you start to look wrong. The pile of laundry looks like it has a head. The chair by the window looks like a person sitting there. The reason this is so unsettling is that it taps into a weird psychological phenomenon called the Uncanny Valley. It's the feeling of revulsion or dread you get when something is almost human, but not quite. Think of a creepy doll or a robot with a weird, fixed smile. At night, the familiar items in your room cross over into this valley. They're still recognizable as objects, but they're now just different enough, just distorted enough by the lack of light to trigger that primal, unsettling feeling that something is deeply, fundamentally not right. You're not afraid of the unknown. You're afraid of the terrifying, distorted versions of things you already know and love. Number 7. The lack of distraction. We spend our entire day with a constant stream of information. Podcasts, social media, conversations, music, TV shows. Our brains are never truly quiet. But when you turn off the lights and your phone is put away, that stream of distraction stops. For some people, this is a moment of peace, but for others, it's a moment of terror. When there's nothing to distract you, your brain starts to listen to its own background noise, which, for a lot of people, is a cocktail of anxieties, fears, and intrusive thoughts. The fear of the dark isn't just a fear of what's out there, it's a fear of what's in here. All the worries you've successfully pushed away during the day suddenly have free rein to surface. It's why you start thinking about that embarrassing thing you said in middle school, or the fact that you still haven't filed your taxes. The quiet isn't a peaceful silence. It's an echo chamber for your most unsettling thoughts. The dark takes away the distractions we use to avoid our own minds, and for a lot of us, that's the scariest thing of all. Number 6. The memory of monsters. You might logically know there's nothing under your bed, but that doesn't stop your subconscious from insisting there is. This is less about logic and more about a psychological phenomenon rooted in childhood. Most of us were at one point told about monsters in the dark, whether by a parent trying to get us to stay in bed, a scary movie, or a friend's creepy story. Even if you don't consciously believe in them anymore, those images and stories are still logged in your brain's archives. Your subconscious mind doesn't operate with the same logic as your conscious one. It's more like a chaotic junk drawer full of old ideas and feelings. So when your logical mind clocks out for the night, those old fears are the first things to pop out. It's why you might feel the need to sprint from the light switch to your bed. You know it's ridiculous, but the small, scared part of your brain that still believes in ghouls and goblins is demanding you get out of the dark as fast as possible, just in case. It's not a rational fear. It's a leftover childhood program running in the background. Number 5. The isolation effect. Imagine being in a brightly lit, crowded room. You feel safe. You can see everyone, and you know you're not alone. Now imagine being in the same room with the lights off. Suddenly, you're not just in the dark. You feel completely isolated. The fear of the dark is often a proxy for a much deeper fear, the fear of being alone and helpless. When we can't see our surroundings, we lose our sense of connection to the world around us. Your brain perceives this lack of sensory input as a form of social isolation, triggering feelings of vulnerability and anxiety. This is a primal fear. In our distant past, being alone in the dark meant being an easy target, cut off from the safety of the group. Even now, in our well-lit homes, your brain still remembers that fear. The dark can make you feel completely exposed and disconnected, even if you're safe and sound in your own bedroom. Number 4. Why we see faces everywhere. Have you ever looked at a tree at night and seen a face staring back at you? That's not an accident. It's a specific and weird part of your brain called pareidolia. Pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where your brain finds meaningful patterns in random, unrelated sensory information. We are so hardwired to recognize faces that our brains will literally create them where they don't exist, particularly when we're working with limited visual information like at night. This is a very useful trait when you're a baby learning to recognize your parents, but at night it goes into overdrive. A weird pattern on the wall becomes a ghostly face. The folds in a curtain become a distorted smile. Your brain is not trying to scare you on purpose. It's just doing what it's built to do. Look for patterns. And faces are the most important pattern there is. Unfortunately, at night, your brain is just a little too good at its job. Number 3. The loss of control. The fear of the dark isn't just a simple fear of the unknown. It's a profound fear of losing control. When the lights go out, we lose our most reliable tool for navigating the world, our sight. We can't see what's in front of us, we can't see what's behind us, and we can't see where the exit is. This loss of visual data puts us in a state of primal helplessness. Our brains are hardwired to be in control of our environment, to be able to scan for threats and navigate our space. The dark takes that away, leaving us feeling vulnerable and exposed. This is why you feel the need to keep your hand on the wall as you walk down a dark hallway. It's a physical attempt to regain some small measure of control when you feel like you have none. It's also why horror movies love to use darkness. It's not just a visual tool, it's a psychological one, exploiting our deepest fear of being powerless and completely at the mercy of something unseen. Number 2. The perception of time. Have you ever noticed how time seems to slow down when you're in a completely dark room? This isn't just your imagination, it's a real psychological effect. When you're in the dark, you lose your visual cues for the passage of time. Your brain relies on the movement of shadows, the changing light from a window, or the simple sight of a clock to keep track of the minutes. Without these cues, your brain's internal clock can get a little wonky. This can make a few seconds of silence feel like an eternity. That tiny creak from your house settling suddenly feels like it's been echoing for 5 minutes. This distorted sense of time heightens feelings of anxiety and fear. It makes every small, insignificant sound feel like it's dragging on forever, giving your brain more time to build a terrifying narrative around it. The dark doesn't just obscure what's in front of you, it distorts your very perception of reality. Number 1. The mirror of your own mind. This one's the most chilling of all. The fear of the dark might not be about what's lurking outside your room, but what's lurking inside your own mind. When you're in the dark, you're forced to confront yourself and all the things you don't want to think about. Our minds are full of anxieties, regrets, and fears that we are able to push away during the day. But in the silence and stillness of a dark room, there is nothing left to distract you. The darkness doesn't just hide things from you, it reflects your own deepest fears back at you. It's why you might find yourself thinking about death, loneliness, or the end of the world. It's not the darkness itself that you're afraid of, it's the lack of distraction, which forces you to face the darkest parts of your own psyche. The boogeyman under the bed isn't a monster. It's the monster of your own anxieties, fears, and doubts. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.